The Ink and Paint Club podcast is intended for mature audiences. I know we're usually talking about kids' cartoons and stuff, but there's going to be naughty language. Anyway, listener discretion is advised.
I will fight for the place where I'm free to live together and exist.
You're listening to the Ink and Paint Club podcast, your weekly home for animation reviews and discussions.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Ink and Paint Club podcast for this week. I'm your host, JD, and unfortunately, the Ginger Avenger, Kyle, is a little out of commission at the moment, so he's not able to join us this week. Sad face.
Rip in peace.
Rip in peace. But Matt's here, and that's always a fun
Hello.
time. Yes.
Oh,
Hello.
no, thank you.
Yes, it's always good to have Matt on here. And apologies that this episode is probably a couple days late, but we wanted to put off the show a little bit so we could talk about the big old Steven Universe season finale, kind of a TV movie, but not really.
Yeah, I don't know what the whole distinction is, because they're doing a TV movie.
Yeah.
But this one's not like, because they did a special before that was two separate episodes that tied. I mean, they've done a number of episodes that tied in together that they kind of punt off the specials, but I believe like all four parts of this special are all like, they're not separate episodes. I believe this is like for replays and stuff. They'll probably air this all at once. Like, I can't see how they would replay this in separate parts anyway. It's weird. Anyway.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about the Steven Universe event, Battle of Heart and Mind, which is a bit of a wrap-up to this other event they did last month called Diamond Days, which there's a couple episodes leading up to basically Steven going back to Homeworld to kind of plead with the Diamond Authority to help the corrupted gems on Earth, where he finally makes friends with Blue and Yellow Diamond, and they gotta go convince White Diamond, who's a crazy bitch, to help the corrupted gems on Earth. So I guess the Diamond Days episodes are kind of more, they do run together, but they can be standalone episodes. But this one, I think, it technically takes up like 4 episode production slots, but is all considered one episode.
Yeah, like I think the Diamond Days episodes, if I remember right, are encapsulated the last 4 episodes before this one.
Mm-hmm.
So in itself, like this special was 4 episodes, and then the event before this Diamond Days was also 4 episodes. But they're not like, there's a lot of like people that don't like the quote unquote filler episodes, and there's some stuff in the last event that could be kind of considered that, but you know, I'm a fan. I'm completely fine with the quote unquote filler episodes, but I'm also of the belief that there's no truly filler episodes. They all have some sort of allusion, or you know, their references, or like you could probably get by without watching them, but I feel like you get a better understanding for, you know, the show and its characters and the plot and everything from watching them.
Yeah, the only one I can think that maybe some people would think is a filler episode is the one where they go back to the Watermelon Island, and
that was kind of what I was alluding to.
Yeah, I personally thought that it was like, okay, I really want to know what's going on with the Diamond and Steven like astral projecting himself back to Earth. I kind of want to know what's going on, but we got to go through this little check-in back with the Watermelon Stevens, who I guess have like a weird racism thing going on. But
yeah, no, you know. That was. I mean, honestly, I was very taken aback because I did not expect a Watermelon Steven episode right before the biggest event in the show's history. Like, only this show would pull that off.
Yeah,
and somehow managed to make it work. Like, because I mean, I don't know where else they would have fit this episode. I mean, because the rest of the season's been more or less related to this overarching, you know, plot.
Yeah,
like with the diamonds and everything. So I guess they just needed to fit like one more in there. And I mean, you know, to its credit, you know, it was still like a fine episode. But I mean, it's nothing compared to this special.
Oh my god, this special, man.
It's so good.
Oh
It's
boy.
so very good. There's a lot to unpack.
There is a lot to unpack. Basically, Steven is turning Homeworld.
Oh, just so you guys know, this is definitely spoiler territory.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Catch up on all of season 5 before listening to this, because unless you've already been spoiled by everyone tweeting or tumbling or Instagramming about it, which you probably have. So yeah,
all that good stuff. So yeah, Steven is turning Homeworld society upside down, and White Diamond is crazy. Man, there's a lot happens in this.
yeah. So like it starts off with. So let's go back to the episode just before the special really quick, because basically Steven and Connie are thrown in prison because they fused like during a ball that they put on, like in front of all the all the diamond upper crust like society and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That really made Yellow and Blue very angry. So they got Steven and Connie got thrown in prison. Which actually, there's an interesting thing about the prison was I saw some theories that were saying that it was built specifically because obviously gems can't, die or anything by any conventional means. Right. But I think the prison was constructed in a way to prevent light from getting through, which I guess severely weakens gems.
Well, yeah, because I guess their bodies are like hard light constructs, so I guess that would make sense.
Yeah. So they're stuck in there. Steven astral projects himself to one of the Watermelon Stevens, which is kind of a thing that they've been revisiting on and off through the show. Like, I believe this is probably like the fourth Watermelon related episode, probably the third.
Something like that.
There was Super Watermelon Island, where they had the big Alexandrite Malachite fight, and then there was the original Watermelon Steven episode. So it's probably like the third one, or unless there's one I'm forgetting about. But anyway, he astral projects, inhabits one of the Watermelon Stevens, and then basically tries to solve whatever problem it is they're having, so they'll help him build a raft so that he can get back to Beach City, so that he can warn the gems that are still on Earth, which is just bismuth currently. Peridot and Lapis are there, but they're poofed, so they're no good to do anything.
It's been a hot minute. What happened? Like, how did they get poofed again?
So earlier in the season, the Reunited, like the last special that happened, the double-length episode Reunited, that was the one where it had been a bit that Ruby and Sapphire had been separated, and Steven took some convincing to like get them, married. So they had this big marriage episode basically, but after the marriage, like the diamonds come and attack the crystal gems and Beach City, and so they just do this one huge, really big fight. And during the events of this, it's like I think Yellow Diamond zaps Lapis and Peridot and poofs them.
Okay.
It's also during this episode is where Yellow and Blue find out that Steven is isn't Pink Diamond, but has the same gem as Pink Diamond, which they were kind of having some trouble understanding when he was originally on trial on Homeworld,
right?
Because that was a big thing. Like he was trying to say like he was Rose Quartz, and
he is, but he isn't.
he is. He has the same gem, so that kind of made them understand. Like, okay, well, it has the same gem, so this must be Pink Diamond. So like they're getting there, and kind of understanding the whole like what Steven is thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, during the events of this, they find out that Steven has Pink Diamond's gem, so they stop attacking. They are kind of allied for the most part. They're not like totally on Earth's side, but they're at least on Steven's side.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what kind of relates. That's what is the reason why they go to back to Homeworld in the first place, is because Steven feels like now that he's kind of gotten in with Blue and Yellow, that he can kind of appeal to the highest authority on Homeworld, which would be White Diamond.
Right.
So he takes along the rest of the crystal gems that are still. Well, they leave Bismuth behind because Bismuth has to repair a lot of shit that got broken during the Diamond attack, and also just sort of watching over Peridot and Lapis, because they actually mention it or actually, I don't think they mentioned the special, but there was an AMA that the Crooniverse did on Reddit where I think they explained that usually like gems when they poof, like they can do it instantaneously, like Amethyst does, or they can kind of take their time, like Pearl does in an episode. But taking a direct hit from like Yellow Diamond puts them out of commission for like quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so they're still out until like I think however many episodes are between. There's like 5 episodes between when they get poofed and this episode, so they're gone. They're poofed for like at least that long.
Right. Yeah.
So. Oh yeah. Okay. So anyway, back to what we were originally talking about. Oh, sorry. That needed explanation.
Oh yeah, you're fine, man.
So Steven, inhabiting a watermelon, Steven goes from the island that they're populating and sort of rafts his way all the way to Beach City, kind of rotting in the process, which is really horrifying.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like the bits of him are popping off, and he's like getting like dehydrated and everything. Anyway, so he makes it to Beach City. He warns, his dad and Bismuth about, what's going on, like to the best of the Watermelon Steven's ability, because they don't speak English. So he kind of like does some charades and writes like with a stick in the sand.
That's the thing. It's like he's drawing pictures for him the whole time. It's like, you know how to write, just write something out for him.
Yeah. I guess maybe your perception of the written language maybe isn't so good when you're a Watermelon Steven. I don't know. Anyway, so he gets the message across before he just gets exhausted and passes out. And so Bismuth and them know like what's happening, what's going on. So this is like when the special like starts is like after he's done astral projecting, he kind of comes back. There's like he has a weird dream flashback-esque type thing with Blue Diamond where he's kind of inhabiting Rose and Pink Diamond like all at once. There's a really great shot during the sequence where it's just sort of like alternating between shots of the three, like having the same expression and stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Anyway, he wakes up from that. Everything's how it was at the end of the Watermelon episode. Like they're just still in prison. Blue Diamond comes in. Steven kind of he I don't want to say appeals, but he kind of convinces Blue Diamond that like what they're doing is or what they did at the ball with the whole fusion thing is like it's not wrong because they do it all the time, and that Steven grew up with a family that loved him for who he was and everything. So, which obviously the Diamonds have a really tough time kind of comprehending, especially Blue Diamond, because Blue Diamond's kind of tied in with Garnet's origin. So like she's the one that kind of witnessed that happen firsthand. So she's very like apprehensive about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Steven gets through to her and kind of convinces her that like, okay, so yeah, this is definitely wrong and everything. So Blue Diamond's like allied with Steven now, breaks them out of the prison, tries to get them to I believe the rest of the crystal gems. Oh yeah,
because they're bubbled up with Yellow Diamond.
Yeah. So they go to like Yellow's partition of the planet or whatever. Tries to get the bubble gems back to the legs, the leg ship, Pink Diamond ship.
The leg ship.
Yeah, well, they keep on calling it like your legs, so like kind of weird. Yeah, so they get there. Yellow Diamond sees what they're up to. It's like, Blue, what the hell are you doing? They get into a bit of a fight. Yellow Diamond zaps the shit out of her. Who I thought was gonna poof at first. I was like, oh well, we haven't seen a diamond poof before. Like, that
it's true. Yeah,
I was kind of stops just
I was kind of expecting that.
Stop short of that happening, and then Yellow Diamond kind of sees like what she's been doing. Like she turns around too. Steven gets her on their side. And then after that, they're allied. They're trying to make it to the Pink Diamond ship. But before they make it, they get stopped by the White Pearl, it's kind of anyone that kind of pays attention to some of the finer details about like the voice acting and stuff, like all the gems on the show, they're all voiced by the same voice actor. So like the main Pearl, Dee Dee Magno Hall, she voices all the Pearls on the show.
Right.
So this Pearl that they kept on encountering, the White Pearl who serves White Diamond, wasn't voiced by Dee Dee. So people kind of assumed like, okay, so
something's up with that.
Yeah, there's some weird brainwash, mind control type stuff going on here. Stops them at the ship. Then, like, we see... Because we've seen all the bits of, like, the main, like, Voltron diamond ship, like, as individual elements, but we hadn't seen them combined yet.
Mm-hmm.
So, we see the torso and head, which is the White Diamond part of the ship, attached to the legs and kind of take control of it. And then they're just sort of like wondering, oh, well, hell, what the hell are we going to do? So cue the cavalry.
Out of nowhere, giant fists from space.
Yeah. Like obviously has a bit of wear and tear, but functioning for the most part, come flying in and they just start punching the shit out of the White Diamond torso. Like, when it's then revealed that it's being controlled by Bismuth in her battle armor from the wedding, and then a newly reformed Peridot and Lapis who've got some new designs, which are very nice. Lapis has got some kind of poofy ninja pants and some sandals.
Yeah, I figured she's
got
like
her star finally.
I thought it was funny. It was like Lapis is just wearing like sweatpants or something.
Yeah. And then Paradox, which is obviously a lot of people bring up the goggles because her whole bit, like in the earlier episodes, is her building a giant drill, and then she's got these Kamiya glasses like from Gurren Lagann.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like totally drives this sort of like comparison home. But I think a lot of people were noticing too is that her Reformation outfit is taken inspiration from the three main crystal gems. Like the top half is inspired by Pearl, the bottom half is inspired by Amethyst, and then like the glasses were obviously inspired by Garnet. So that was kind of like a neat little touch that I saw.
I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah, if you look and kind of compare them, like I think her legs have the same knees on the stars.
Yeah, she's the star knees.
Yeah, and then she's got like the little booties, and then like her top half it has like the star in the same place that Pearl did. I think it might flare out the same way too. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah. So they're looking sweet. Bismuth's there, like in her battle armor. They come in with the fists. They start, just punching everything. Everything seems to be working out. Pink Diamond's legs come down. Oh no, sorry, I kind of skipped a whole bit. They I only watched the special once. I meant to watch it again right before this, but I didn't have
time
to.
Yeah.
From what I remember, I can't remember the exact sequence of these events, but there's a whole bit where Steven like is in free fall with the gems, and so they're not reforming, like despite his sort of efforts to coax them out of the gems, because like I said, they got hit by the diamonds. Okay, actually I didn't mention that during the ball they got zapped. So
Garnet, Amethyst, and Pearl are all poofed at the moment, but
yeah, so they're all in free fall. Steven's doing his damnedest to try to sort of coax them out in time before they probably crack, like landing from that height. So the way that he does this to sort of get them out of their gems is that he fuses with them like one by one in the air. So he gets with Amethyst first. We see a new design for Smoky Quartz, who's a fusion that we've seen on the show a few times. Then basically what he does is he fuses with them and then unfuses them, and then they're basically back, like they're out of their gems.
Right.
So that's just another thing that freaking Steven can do. Like, just put that on the list of awesome.
Steven's OP as hell.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he is a diamond, so
that's true. I guess so.
It makes sense. And, yeah.
But
so yeah,
I do want to like take a second to like. I really dig, a lot of the new designs that because. Obviously from the show, it's been shown that every time someone gets poofed, they come back with a different design, which from a toy selling perspective, I guess that works because they can always just make new toys of the new outfits.
Which would be fine if they sold any toys. Like,
they do at
you
Hot
don't
Topic.
understand, man. I mean, no, Funkos don't count, man. Come on.
I was talking about like plushes and shit.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess
I don't know, but-
I say the Funkos don't count, yet I own all the TV.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I said, if there's any better merch to have of the characters, I would have them. But
Yeah.
like as far as things go, I think they're actually designed by people on the Crewniverse, so they look better than most
Mhm.
Funko Pops. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Although it is weird because they're kind of because they make the designs based on whatever arc is going at the time, so there's some mismatched like. Well, anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah.
but yeah, I like some of the designs. Some of them I'm not as they'll probably grow on me after a while. It's just like an initial reaction.
Yeah, like because you get used to how things are for so long that sometimes it's hard to accept that something changed. But like usually, yeah, it'll grow on people.
Right.
Like I personally, I loved all the designs. I thought they were all really neat. Like especially like the redesigns for the fusions that kind of resulted from the new designs of the gems, which is kind of like what I was going with the Smokey thing. Because then we see Rainbow Quartz, who we've only seen once before, like in a big flashback thing where it was like one of the first times. Well, not the first time, but kind of in that same era when Greg met Rose, and they're filming like this big music video, and then Pearl, out of her jealousy, like fuses with Rose and does this big old dance number. But she looks like she's from like
she's like an 80s go-go or like an 80s dancer,
like a flash dance.
Yeah,
like
she's got like the leg warmers and
the leg
everything.
warmers. Yeah. So the new version of Rainbow Quartz, who they just call Rainbow 2.0, is this. I saw everyone basically calling him Taco from Adventure Zone, which is a fair. Like I know there's people out there who probably know what that is, but it's like it's a very sort of flamboyant elf that uses an umbrella.
Okay.
And the voice that they kind of had for that for Rainbow 2.0 is kind of similar to the voice that Justin McElroy puts on for that character in the Adventure Zone podcast.
Sure.
So, yeah. So there's that, and then there's who I think is probably my favorite new fusion that we saw in this episode.
Sunstone.
Sunstone is amazing.
Sunstone is my favorite purely because it is like if a after school PSA came to life.
I like, yeah, just and it's got the same like sort of fourth wall breaking stuff that Sardonyx does, but it's very specifically talking to the kids at home, like let's take that bully down. But if you
don't do drugs,
down, don't. The design is just really solid too. Like I saw a lot of people saying it looked like the Kool-Aid Man off his shit.
It kind of does look like the Kool-Aid Man. It looks like it kind of looks like the old mascot for Sunny D and shit. With the sunglasses and everything.
Yeah. No, totally. Like if it grew a body, like
yeah, pretty much.
It's a very cool design. Anyway, so that's a fusion that results from Garnet and Steven. So then, yeah, he fuses them all, unfuses, so they're all out of their gems. So they're all there. They still got this giant ass robot sort of combat with. Oh, because I think actually during this part, White Diamond gets control of the arms. I forget exactly how that happens.
Because is that before or after White Diamond mind controls Yellow and Blue?
That is before.
Okay.
Wait, is it before? I can't remember.
I think okay. I think that happens later.
No, you're right. It happens before. That was actually when they. I can't remember. I'm like trying to remember like what the scene looks like, but yeah, that's how she's able to control the arms. Is that she controls the diamonds? Because when they enter White Diamond's head later, the diamonds are already in there,
right? And
they're all sapped to their power. Okay, so that was the thing we forgot to mention was that White Diamond has this power to sort of like zap a beam at a gem,
basically
and,
bleach it.
Yeah, they bleach the gem, and then like she just controls them like a puppet, which is basically what she's been doing to that Pearl this whole time, which we kind of assumed was related, but like we hadn't seen it in action yet. And it is downright Actually, you know what? With the diamonds, not as horrifying as when it happens to the crystal gems later, but still.
There is one. It's not related to the mind control. There is one legit, like, I think terrifying thing that happens, but we'll get to it in a few minutes.
Yeah. No, I what you're going to talk about. Yeah, so she's got the diamonds. That means she's got their ships. So they've got the full mecha going on, arms and legs and torso and head and everything. So that's how Sunstone fuses. Is that Steven is like right in the middle of fusing with Garnet or Garnet's gems, and then like the pink diamond's foot comes down and like it seems to crush him, and then that's when it hits like a commercial break, and then it comes back, and then that's when Sunstone is just there like propping up
this big hulking thing.
Yeah, which I thought was funny. Later on, somebody made a video of it was the theme song for Monty Python's Flying Circus. We're like,
that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's great. Yeah, exactly. So that happens. Sunstone fuses. They start climbing up the mecha. Connie's in tow.
Well, even before that,
that's
the way they're up against the giant mech, and the one fusion I've been waiting this entire show to see, because back on Earth, the Gem Temple, there's this giant statue carved with this 8-armed, 2-faced, what I always assumed was a fusion of all 4 of Rose, Garnet, Amethyst, and Pearl. And we finally get to see what it looks like, and it's called Obsidian, and it is metal as hell.
Rad! It is so cool.
It's a giant fucking lava monster.
Yeah, and its gem weapon is like
a flame sword.
Yeah, but the way that it like because technically the weapon is the hilt, and the way that the sword part comes out is
sword out of its head.
The second mouth on top of the head like opens up, and it's like just spilling with lava, and like just jams the hilt in there, and then pulls out the freaking blade, and like it's so rad, like it's so cool in motion. So they get the sword in there, and it's this big 8-armed giant woman just climbing up this even bigger mech, while the other gems are there sort of flanking them, like Lapis is carrying around Bismuth, and like Bismuth's got one of her hands transformed into like a big axe blade that she's like sort of dragging across the mecha, and then Peridot has her trash can lid.
I love that she is just a trash can lid. It actually like has
static shock.
It's just static shock, but
totally, yeah.
I like that it even has like a strategic purpose, because then she can pick up Connie, and Connie just grabs the bottom of the lid and flies around with it.
Yeah. Which, okay, so that was another part we forgot to mention. There was so much in this episode, you start remembering it like as it goes on. Bismuth makes Connie a new sword because Rose's sword, which she had been using for most of the series, broke during the diamond attack that happened during Reunited. So Bismuth gets her a new sword, and then so it's Peridot and Connie are teamed up, and then Bismuth and Lapis are teamed up, and they're just sort of flanking this giant mech the whole time while Obsidian is climbing up it. And then they kind of, the rest of them get sent out of commission, but Obsidian makes it to White Diamond's head, which is where White Diamond is, kind of the control center.
She's in her own head.
They unfuse. I think they voluntarily unfuse, I think, right, to get inside.
I think they get hit and they unfuse on the side of the mech, because Steven's like falls off of it.
Yeah, okay, that sounds so.
But anyway, they get into the head.
Yeah, they get into the head. They see White Diamond. She's got the pearl. She's got yellow and blue there. They're all bleached white. They're all talking at the same time as White Diamond. Like the lips are all moving, but it's the same voice coming out of all of them. Very scary stuff, but not as scary as what happens next, where she's kind of just like, this is basically like the big scene. This is the confrontation that we've been anticipating like the whole show. Like White Diamond, Steven, and of course Steven doesn't want to solve things with violence. He wants to talk. He wants to try to convince everyone, like, that this is the way that things should be. But basically, White Diamond's not having it. She starts sort of talking about Yellow and Blue's flaws, about why they're not perfect. She's basically, her whole thing is she's going on and like how perfect she is, like how, because the perfection is sort of viewed on Homeworld and in gem culture, basically about like how pure your gem is.
Mhm.
Like, there's a whole thing earlier, like in the season before this, where there's this group of gems called the off colors that are sort of like these defect gems that were, obviously like to, they would be shattered on sight if they're like seen, in Homeworld, this sort of
Right.
thing. Yeah, so well, the defects, and then like like fusions, basically like anything that Homeworld views as wrong, as sort of just this embodiment of like it all. But anyway, so yeah, that's White Diamond's whole thing, is that she's just like, she views herself as perfect. She wants everything else to be perfect, that sort of thing. So Steven like is just trying to talk to her, like trying to convince her that the things are perfect because they're imperfect, sort of mentality.
Every pork chop was perfect. We wouldn't have hot dogs.
Exactly. Yeah, he brings that up, which he then has to explain because, of course, they don't know
What's a
what
hot
pork chop
dog?
or a hot dog. Yeah. So yeah, and then what happens next is White Diamond just zaps Amethyst, turns her into a puppet. Zaps Pearl, turns into a puppet. Zaps Garnet, turns into a puppet. So Steven is there all by himself. Like the rest of their crew is still recovering outside. They're not in the head with him.
Mm-hmm. I think Connie just comes in like way too late.
Yeah,
It's
well,
like,
no,
you missed
not
a
as
bit.
late as
You missed a bit.
not as late as the other characters that come way later.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before Connie shows up, there's just this whole big thing of White Diamond just like laying into Pink Diamond, like, just saying like, I don't need you, but I like having you around, sort of thing. Obviously Steven's horrified because he doesn't have anyone else there with him. Connie shows up, gets detained. Steven also gets detained, and then the most horrifying part, like past the brainwashing puppetry type stuff, White Diamond just straight up plucks Steven's gem right out of his human body.
Yep.
And we finally get to see what happens from that, because we were always like, a lot of people wondered like what the hell would happen.
Yeah, because there was that episode where it's like a flashback to when Steven was a baby, and Pearl even brought up, was like, what if we just pulled it out?
Yeah, so that was obviously like an allusion to like I think we all kind of knew that was going to be coming at some point, but
Yeah.
yeah. So White Diamond just plucks the diamond right out of Steven, and then what happens next is like the scene.
Some next level weirdness.
Yeah, like the scene is split in two. There's
Yeah, it's like you're seeing out of two different eyes. Like one, like the screen splits in two, and you're seeing one eye. It's like one eye is Steven, and one eye is the diamond that got pulled out.
Yeah. So yeah, you're just getting like this weird split view, which is cool. Like it doesn't lay on this shot for too long, but like we see from like Steven's eye, he's looking at the diamond off in the distance that is reforming, which usually when gems reform on the show, it cycles through all the previous forms that they took. So it it starts to glow. We see Pink Diamond's silhouette, we see Rose's silhouette, and then we see Steven's silhouette. And then it's just it's Steven. There's two Stevens. There's the human Steven, who's looking like hell, by the way.
Like he's like anemic or something.
Yeah, he's like on death's door or something. I don't know. I have a feeling that he would probably die without the gem in him for too long. But I mean,
Probably.
obviously it doesn't explore any of that. But he looks like that's what would happen. Yeah. So there's these two Stevens. There's this just all pink Steven and the human Steven. White Diamond starts to have this fit, like, why are you doing this? Why do you look like this? What are you doing? All while the two Stevens are like sort of trying to get back together. Connie's helping Steven along the way because he's too weak to walk on his own. The pink Steven's like just sort of making a slow stride. White Diamond keeps on trying to do these attacks on like the same type of attack the White Diamond's done throughout this whole special, like tried to sort of bleach the pink Steven, which the pink Steven just sort of shrugs off with these like fractal shields, which are like, really cool looking. Shrugs off a bunch of those, and then like one of the most like powerful moments I think like in the series where pink Steven just sort of like turns to White Diamond and just yells like she's gone, like just big booming, like leaves a crater underneath. Like
so when I was saying like there's an even kind of a bigger moment that kind of took me by surprise, kind of creeped me out, is that when he just like randomly screams and with this dead-eyed expression and just like this impact right below him as he screams, and like my wife and I just like jumped a split second. I was like, oh, was not expecting that.
No, it was crazy. Like if Zach Callison wants to get like a job dubbing anime at any other point, like I think that was definitely that's definitely should be on his reel. Like that was a very good like performance for him. So that like leaves a crater underneath. Oh, and that's where like the pink Steven like is floating on top of this crater, like walking across it. Splits the stage that White Diamond's been standing on. Just throws everything for a loop. And then the Stevens, they finally get together. And what a lot of people saw this is kind of like because obviously they've never been separated before. This is the first instance of sort of Steven and Pink Diamond or Rose Quartz, like his mom, they've never met before. Like Steven experiences these memories that Rose and Pink had, but has never been able to directly interact or sort of talk. So we see this just very emotional sort of reunion between them, like their very first embrace. Like they just give this really, and this is another thing too, like the animation during this whole sequence, like the 10-15 seconds that this lasts for, is just so smooth. So like I think people figured out that this was this particular segment was animated by James Baxter. James Baxter who's very famous for his smooth animation. Like there's the Gravity Falls title sequence. He does that little bit of like Dipper sort of juggling the candle. There's that, obviously, that episode of Adventure Time with James Baxter the horse. He animated that.
And I think he was like a Disney animator for a long time.
Oh yeah, no. I think the most famous shot he did was he did the pencils for that spinning shot from Beauty and the Beast that has like the CGI ballroom behind him. Like I think he did that. So if you need like any sort of big example of what he's done, like that, he did that.
No, he's a master.
No, he's incredible, and like it's so cool that they got him to do this sequence for Steven Universe. So Steven and his mom essentially have this big reunion that's punctuated by just very wonderfully done animation, and basically fuses back into one being. So if there were people there that were wondering if Steven was like a fusion or not, I guess this is kind of confirmation that he is. Like, I mean, it's kind of
he's technically a human gem fusion.
Yeah. So, but so the rejoin. he kind of embarrasses White Diamond to the point where she's actually blushing,
Mhm.
which causes all of her other puppets to like blush too, and she becomes horrified because she's always viewed herself as this very pristine, very white is obviously supposed to be the embodiment of all colors. So to see this one shade of pink show up on her and all of her like embodiments, like, confuses her, like, well, if I'm not perfect, then what am I, sort of deal. And then that's kind of when she comes around and doesn't quite fully understand what Steven's whole philosophy is about, but at least
Is a little more open to, like,
to
she becomes a little more open to giving it a chance.
Yeah. So it's during this part where everything that's under her persuasion sort of lifts. So all the gems are back, the diamonds are back, the pink or the white pearl turns out to be the pink pearl,
Mm-hmm.
which I mean we kind of saw in an earlier episode, and a lot of people kind of guessed that was a pink pearl, but this was like the first real confirmation that we got.
Yeah.
So yeah, everything's back. And then from here, it just goes into this. Oh well, actually, before that, the rest of the gems come crashing through. Like after all this had already happened, like Bismuth, Lapis, and Peridot are all ready to throw down, and then like, oh, they missed everything.
Yep.
Like,
Little late, guys.
Yeah. So yeah, that happens, and then like most of the rest of the episode, which is like 2 minutes of like this montage of sort of them getting the ships back into working order. They go to Earth, or no, okay, actually, this is not where the montage starts. Sorry, they get the ships working. They go back to Beach City where there's this big concert going on with Sadie and the Killers, with the rest of Beach City there. Like basically all the characters that you sort of knew from the show from all the Townie episodes,
Mhm.
like. They're all there. They get done doing a cover of "Let Me Drive My Van Into Your Heart," which is a Mr. Universe song because Greg manages them, which
Right.
is I thought was pretty neat. Gets done doing that, and then to sort of punctuate the ending of the song, the whole freaking diamond mecha like drops down and like right on, not on the stage, but like
Right above it.
kind of right above it, like spread leg across the stage, and then like people think it's part of the show. They come out of the mecha. The diamonds are there. The crystal gems are there. Connie's there. Everyone's there. And then
Lars shows up.
yeah, okay. So this was the one thing that I kind of was a little disappointed by. Lars and the Off Colors just sort of show up at the same time that they do, but there's not from what I could see, but there's no sort of allusion during this whole special that Steven ever put in a call to them or anything like that. And obviously so.
Well, I think
they don't help out during the battle or anything else.
I think the timing is weird that they would get there at the same time. But I do remember the last time that Steven had visited Lars had basically told the Off-Colors, like, I'm going to take you guys to Earth and you guys can be free and all that stuff. They even kind of make a joke about it when they get out of the ship because the Off-Colors are all like, we're free, we don't have to be under Diamond Road anymore. They're staring right at the diamonds.
Redondite sees the diamond. He's like, well,
fuck that, I guess.
And of course, in Paprasha fashion, he reacts way too late. Like,
I love Paprasha. So, like, her tick is, like, kind of annoying, but at the same time, it's adorable.
It's adorable. So, yeah, and then this was a bit that we've been anticipating, too, is the reunion between Lars and Sadie, because obviously they've been separated for a long time. Like, even before all the stuff... Actually, yeah, Lars accompanies Steven on his very first trip to Homeworld where he was taken as a prisoner.
Yeah, because Lars went on accident.
Yeah, he was there on accident, so he ends up going there, and anyway, that's a whole other thing. Lars gets killed, Steven revives him.
He turns pink.
He turns pink. He has to, which kind of reveals, like, I guess how Lion was made, because he's like the only pink lion, and if like the lions belong to Rose, and it kind of showed during like a pseudo flashback that she had like a ton of lions that were just regular lions. So
yeah, and it's like he has the same kind of like sub-dimension powers that Lion does.
yeah, like the hair dimension, where
The hair
they've got,
dimension.
like, these big trees that sort of visualize their. Anyway, yeah, that's a whole other thing. So they've been separate. Lars and Sadie have been separated for a long time, and during this time, Lars was stuck in. He was stuck in Homeworld. He stole a gem ship, had all the off colors with him, becomes this just Captain Lars of the Stars.
He's
like,
basically
type
Captain
deal.
Harlock.
Yeah, essentially. He looks tight in his outfit though. Like I thought that was
I dig it.
Bingo bongo. Anyway, so that's what he's been off doing, and then this whole time that he's been off in space, Sadie has been getting in with the cool kids, which is something that Lars always wanted to do. And then she made a band with them, Sadie and the Killers, which is this kind of like, gothy, like sort of themed band. It's all really cool. So they finally meet again after so long, and yeah, they're just sort of like in awe of like what the others become during this time, which honestly is not that long of a passage of time. Like I think the Crewniverse went on record somewhere saying that there's only 2 years that have passed between the start of the series and like this finale.
Mm-hmm.
So I gotta imagine like the whole events of like this thing, like I don't think it was that long. So
Maybe a month or two at the most.
Yeah, so just the progression that these characters made during all this time is like pretty insane. Like, but yeah, so they've met up, and then obviously there's more pressing matters at hand. There's like all these aliens that just showed up, and like these bigger aliens that the townspeople are used to saying. Steven has to like vouch for them and everything. There's just like this. This is when the montage starts. This big like sort of sharing of culture between like there's a lot of interaction between the off colors of the crystal gems of the townspeople, the diamonds and everything. They show just montages of because this was another thing when Yellow and Blue were originally sort of coaxed by Steven once they found out that he was like Pink Diamond. He tried to get them to heal some of the corrupted gems that they had in their possession, and while they were capable, they were able to sustain their uncorruptedness,
Mm-hmm.
Which is something that can only happen when all 4 diamonds are there, I guess. So yeah, it just goes to this whole bit of them just healing all these corrupted gems. For the most part, there's still some sort of like from some of the corrupted ones that we saw like actually get corrupted, like Jasper. There's a whole bit in an episode where Jasper fuses with a corrupted gem, which ends up corrupting her. And then so we see her healed in this episode. And it's been a long time since we've seen Jasper too, so that was neat that we finally got to see her again. But her healed form like still has these elements of her corrupted form, like because Jasper's a big orange gem.
Yeah, that seemed to be kind of the theme of like all the healed corrupted gems in the sense that like they're healed in so much that they got their like consciousness back, like they're not ravenous monsters anymore.
Yeah,
but all their bodies are still like a little wonky,
a little weird. But for them, they're healed for the most part. Which anyway, I'll get into this when I'm done wrapping up the episode. So yeah, healing all the gems. That goes on for a bit because they do all the ones that are bubbled in the temple. They do the centipedals in their ship. There's just like a lot of really cute interactions between all these characters finally seeing each other. Like there's the was it the Earth and Heaven Beetles? I think they're called. Like we finally see them and like they're reunited and it's cute. Biggs, who's this character that Bismuth was really fond of. We finally get to see, and like she tackles her in a pool. Centipedal, or who's actually Nephrite, I guess is the real gem name, gets healed, and then Steven rows to her with like a bag of chaps, like the chips.
Yeah,
which is really cute. And then then the last one that we kind of see get healed is Jasper, who obviously wants to throw down immediately, like, but then kind of just looks around and sees like, oh, wait, what the? There's diamonds and Amethyst rose over to her, and there's no sound during this part except for the new version of the theme song that they're playing during it.
Mhm.
But you can see Amethyst mouthing the words "Hi, sis" to Jasper, which is really adorable.
Yeah.
Jasper just sort of like blushes underneath the pool. Yeah. So after all this, it just sort of the last shot of the episode kind of, or actually not kind of, it mimics the opening theme where it's Connie and Greg and the Crystal Gems and everyone. They're just sort of like having this little barbecue on the beach. Steven's off playing his ukulele, writing a song, and then it like frame for frame like mimics the shot of them sitting down around him. Just like, hey, play us whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
And then it plays this new song that he wrote, and it's just it's very nice, and that's it. That's the end of the episode. Like, it's just like a very like, this is supposed to be a season finale. Like, there's no official word from Cartoon Network on this, but there's word from the crew that this is just a season finale, which I find really hard to believe because it just wraps up everything like
that. Yeah, that's what I'm really confused on. I mean, I feel like after watching this, if there was no more Steven Universe, like if this is the way they ended the show, I'm fine with that. But I think that was I think it was the perfect way to end the series. It wrapped up more or less everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, this fall we're getting a TV movie, and then there's a high chance we're getting another season after this. Like, where do you go from that?
Honestly, yeah. Like, since watching the special, I've seen some ideas people had about where, like, obviously we have no idea what the movie's going to entail, but there's been series before where they kind of had a movie after the show had wrapped up that they just sort of did like a villain of the week type thing for, which I kind of assumed that they were doing for this, but
yeah,
I honestly don't know.
I'm assuming the movie is going to be like a one-off villain. It's just going to be a not really. Though I am wondering if it's going to take place before or after this season finale.
Yeah, hard to tell. I mean, we don't know much about the movie other than the little teaser that they had at Comic-Con, where it shows us the silhouette of who many are assuming is going to be the antagonist of the movie, and this heart-shaped like gem. Very strange stuff. Yeah, we still don't know much about it, but it's supposed to come out in fall, so barring any sort of delays, I mean, we just have to go through most of the year and we'll know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we knew about the movie. We've known about the movie since Comic-Con. But it's just the idea that there's still going to be one more season after this. Like, the ideas that people have been having are like, obviously the Diamonds collapsed a lot of societies in their time, like doing all this. Like, there's gonna be societies that are like not gonna take this standing down. Just like, you can't just be the good guys now, sort of thing. Like, you've healed all these other gems, but there's still so much destruction. Like, they completely like just got rid of planets and civilizations and stuff. Like, there's still got to be a lot of fallback from that. So I think a lot of that's probably going to be addressed.
I could see that. Yeah.
I gotta think that they're still gonna have to address the stuff with Jasper, because what they did with her just as like that little 10-second thing of her showing up and getting uncorrupted, like, I still feel like there's a lot of stuff that they could wrap up with her, like just sort of having these not being able to accept that the war is over, and that her commanding off, like, her diamonds, her gods basically, like, are now on the same side as these rogue gems that she's been fighting for so long.
I could just see like an episode of just like Jasper's like camping out like 10 feet from the temple, just like randomly just keeps coming out and trying to attack them.
Yeah. So there's that. There was some gems that we didn't see at all during this special. Like, I saw somebody mention earlier that I don't think we saw Aquamarine at all, who was like the most formidable gem that they faced other than the diamonds.
Yeah, I didn't see.
That could be related some way.
Maybe.
there's still, we don't know if the Ruby Squad ever got rescued from space.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure they've still got a lot of shit to deal with, especially Eyeball, who was like the Army veteran Ruby on the team. So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of ideas that they could still do for like this sort of like post-season where like this epilogue, basically. Like, I imagine this season will be like an epilogue where they're going to be wrapping up all these sort of loose stuff that they didn't like kind of address.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's enough material that they can keep going. And like, obviously there's more stories to tell, but I don't know, it's just like this season finale just felt so
like a series finale.
Like this is how we're ending it, and like it felt like a good. Like, I wasn't so jazzed on how Adventure Time chose to end itself, but I feel like Steven Universe, like, had they planned this was going to be the ending, I'm fine with if this is the ending. I think it was a perfectly good ending.
Yeah, and obviously this is the main arc that Rebecca Sugar, the creator of Steven Universe, wanted to do with the show, but apparently she's had these other plans for the stuff that comes after, like, for a long time too.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, honestly, you know, I've been a fan of everything so far, so I'm sure I will like whatever comes after this.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet that there will be a time skip involved somehow. Like, not like not like a small time skip, but like a large time skip. Like, I would imagine like Stephen and Connie and everyone's like, obviously the Gems don't age traditionally, but you know, everyone else in Beach City and stuff will be older, and like this is probably where this whole bit with like the other like alien civilizations come into play, where they finally sort of gathered up their power after so long of like not being under the Diamond Authority sort of deal. Like, I kind of see that kind of like where this is going, but
yeah, I can see that.
Honestly, I don't know shit. This is just what I kind of am thinking is going to happen, but yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think taking this whole like Diamond Days event as a whole, where you're taking this long episode plus a few episodes before, I think, you know, really makes for a really cohesive story, and I kind of want to give them credit for, or at least Cartoon Network, for allowing Steven Universe to kind of develop its plot the way it has. Because it feels like Cartoon Network is really pushing towards more episodic, we can play these whenever kind of shows. But Steven, like, is so plot heavy, and it's like, I feel like if you watched any episode out of order, it would just be really confusing most of the time.
Yeah. It does rely heavily on stuff that comes before it, for sure.
So good on them for letting them do this for as long as they have, and apparently letting them continue to do it.
Yeah, I mean, beyond all the hiatuses that take place between the episodes, like, obviously it takes time to make animation. And this is, you know, just beyond sort of Cartoon Network's other problem with, like, their scheduling and stuff. Like, at least when the episodes are out there, most of the diehard fans, they know where to get their, you know, obviously they're not doing replays of Steven Universe, really. Like, usually when they do an event, they'll do, like, marathons leading up to the event that sort of play them, but usually when they air a new episode, they just air it the one time, and then I think you can only really watch it again, like, on the app, which is, I think, a really big thing that they were doing with Steven Universe was, like, even some of the earlier, like, Steven bombs that they were dropping of, like, the batches of episodes, they were, like, doing on the mobile app before they ever aired them on TV. Right, so this is definitely them sort of, like, you know, putting their, you know, toes in the water, trying to gauge, like, how this works out. And honestly, like, for a show that has a big enough as big a presence online as like Steven Universe does, like, I think it definitely, you know, works out in that regard. Like, honestly, you know, everyone hates the wait, but, you know, when you finally get it, like, you get it. Like, this special, like, we got it. Like, it was worth the wait for sure.
Yeah, and honestly, the more I think about it, I'm not as bothered by the big gaps of time between episodes, because at least for probably the last year or so, we've been getting them in these like chunks where it's like, okay, here's 5 episodes in a row. But because this show is so plot heavy, I kind of like that they're doing that. Like, okay, here's a week, here's a group of episodes that are basically an arc.
Yeah,
and they keep
they're all essentially specials into themselves.
Yeah, they keep doing that, and I think that's better than having it do week to week and having smaller gaps in between episode batches, because I feel like for a show that is as plot heavy as this is, having them in those small batches allows you to process and keep track of the plot a little more. And it's almost kind of in the sense of, I want to say how like Netflix and stuff puts out a whole season at once and then like waits a year to put another season out. But you get the complete story ish, more or less all at once, so it's easier to maintain, like being able to keep track of what's going on.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I feel you on that. It's just the nature, like how stuff is done nowadays. Like that's definitely the sort of Cartoon Network like experimenting with the method that digital distribution does now.
Mm-hmm.
So, but obviously they're not like a pay-to-watch platform, so it's kind of like a weird middle ground solution, which is, you know, obviously people are right to have frustrations with, but you know,
yeah,
that's a whole other thing. That's just it happens to happen to Steven Universe also, but. Anyway.
Yeah, but I think this is a really good special. I like, where they went, how they decided to wrap up this long standing arc. I like most of the characters that got their redesigns.
Yeah.
I think it was funny how for Pearl's redesign they kind of give a nod back to
Bad Pearl.
To Bad Pearl, where she had a leather jacket on. This, but now she has like a blazer on. But I think it's funny.
Jeans too.
I think it's funny like that. Garnet's new design might have to grow on me, only because I think it might be a little over designed.
That is, of all the redesigns, that one is like seems to be on a lot of people's like list. Like
I don't think
know.
it's.
I saw the Starburst goggles and I was instantly sold. Like those are awesome.
I think. And see, this is another thing. Like, now I have to think about another season of these characters walking around in those designs, where I can see Pearl and Amethyst and, Peridot and Lapis walking around those designs. Garnet, I'm having a little trouble wrapping my mind around. But like I said, it'll probably grow on me after a while. But right now, it's the one I'm not feeling as much. But I think finally getting to see Lapis and Peridot's Crystal Gem outfits, which everyone had been speculating on what that's going to look like.
Yeah.
I think a lot of fan designs kind of got Peridot's close enough, but I don't think anyone was anywhere close to what Lapis was going to be, because she's such a bum.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of hard to gauge like where Lapis could go, because she's such like a very complex character. Like one minute she's very like self-deprecating, and then the other she's like making fart jokes. Like
it's just,
I mean, like any depressed person, like she's very a very good representation of like.
I'm just thinking from a design standpoint, it's such a drastic change, because it goes from this character who has like this long flowy dress with like a ribbon down her back is now in a tank top, sweatpants, and sandals.
Which, I mean, I think it definitely suits her with just sort of like.
Oh no! I think it totally fits. I just think from a design aspect, it's a very drastic change.
Oh, totally.
But of course, you could also say the same for Pearl, whereas she's been basically a ballerina up until now, and now she has a very casual look.
She's got their mom outfit.
She has her mom outfit. But yeah, I think this is a really good way of wrapping things up, even if it isn't how it'll finally wrap up. I am kind of concerned is like, how do you, if when the show actually ends, how do you top this?
Yeah, no, that is the biggest concern. But you know what? Like, there were bits during this show so far where they did things that we thought they were going to have trouble topping, and they kept on outdoing themselves each and every time. So, as final as this special seemed, as extravagant, as outstanding as everything that happened, I imagine that whenever they end up doing their for real series finale, like, it'll live up. Like, it'll at least be a very, like, this is a very good finale for, like, this particular arc, but I think as, like, a finale for the show proper, like, they will definitely nail, like, whatever they end up doing.
Yeah, so this is just the end of Arc 1. Arc 2 begins sometime in the future.
Yeah, like, obviously, the movie's coming out in fall, and then we have got no official word on, like, everyone assumes that season 6 is definitely happening because of voice actors sort of posting, like, stuff that they're recording for, and, like, people that work on the show, like, you know, mentioning stuff. But yeah, so that should be happening.
I mean, I feel like Cartoon Network would be kind of dumb to cancel Steven Universe. Like, I think from an artistic standpoint, ending it now would make sense. But I think from a money standpoint, for a show that personally prints money for merchandise, I think it makes sense for them to keep on the Crewniverse and keep making more of this show.
Yeah, like, it would be more concerning about there being this whole other season after all this if they didn't have, like, if they pulled a SpongeBob movie where they just had a completely new crew after that for the next season. Like, that's not happening here. This is still all the same people working on the show.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it should be fine.
That's good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the Battle of Heart and Mind. Matt, is there anything else you want to talk about for this, or?
Yeah, actually, just one quick note.
Sure.
The episode's not called Battle of Heart and Mind.
That's true.
Cartoon Network does this weird, it's called Change Your Mind. Cartoon Network does this weird thing where they title the specials something, or they title the events something different than the episode, which I think is really weird. Like, I don't get that.
Yeah, I don't know. But, yeah, it's called Change Your Mind, and that's the song Steven ends up singing at the end.
Yeah.
So it all ties together like that, and yeah, it was a good special. I dug it immensely, and I am very curious as to see where things go from here. So
yeah,
I guess we'll have to wait until Cartoon Network officially says that it's happening. So
yeah, like at this point, I definitely sort of want to rewatch the show from the beginning so that I get a full. It's been a while since I've gone through all the older episodes. There was a time where, like, I picked up the show around when the Homeworld gems were first revealed, like Jasper, Lapis, Peridot. Like, that was when I got into the show.
Yeah.
So I marathoned everything up until that point, and then I've been following the show since then.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really gone back and rewatched, like, you know, a lot of the episodes. So I think I feel like
honestly the show really found its legs when Jasper and Peridot and Lapis all show up for the first time, because up until that point there was bits and pieces of, like, the deeper lore being thrown out, but most of it was just like
Monster of the Week,
silly towny things. But, like, once the Homeworld gems touch down, that's really when the story gets started. So honestly, if I personally was going to go back and rewatch it, I'd probably start there. I'd probably skip whatever the first I don't know where their season markers are, but what I assume is, like, the first season.
I think it's Mirror Gem is where, like, Lapis is first introduced, and I think that's the very ending of season 1. I think when Jasper and Peridot and them sort of touched on, I think that's all at the very end of season 1. I could be wrong.
Something
I can't
like
remember, that. But yeah, there's a very good, like, indication. Like, I mean, you can go look at episode list to find out where all this stuff is. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's, you know. But if you want to get the full experience, you got to watch all the rest of the episodes too. You gotta be attached to these characters. If you just go in like obviously we're familiar with the show, so we can do that. But if you're getting to the show for like the first time, I mean, you obviously want to start from the beginning. It's not like a thing where like skip all this. You don't need all this. Like you want to get you want to get accustomed to the characters. You want to get a feel for their personalities, who they are, what they're all about, and yeah. So anyway, I don't advise if this is if you're on the fence about watching Steven Universe and you listen to this very spoilerific episode about the what could be perceived as the series finale, and you want to go back and watch to the beginning, by all means.
Now's a good time, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go, guys. That's our take on the Steven Universe season finale. I hope you enjoyed that. Yeah, just let us know what you guys think about it. Like, was this finale what you were expecting, and where do you think it's going to go from there? Leave your opinions in the comments. I'd love to kind of see where everyone else's head is at on this. Matt, thanks for being on the show this week. It was good to have you back again.
Thank you very much. I'm down to talk about some of my favorite shows. Steven Universe happens to be one of my very most favorite shows. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome anytime. And thank you everybody else for listening, and we will catch you all again next week.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Ink and Paint Club podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can catch a new episode every week. Also be sure to follow us on our Facebook and Twitter so you can keep up with the show. Links are in the description. We'll see you next week.